In response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Western nations alongside countries like South Korea and Japan imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia's aviation industry. These measures have effectively severed Russia's access to the global aviation market. As a result, Russian airlines can no longer procure new aircraft or replacement parts from Boeing and Airbus, which together dominate the country's passenger jet fleet. Even potential alternatives like Brazil's Embraer or China's COMAC are out of reach due to their reliance on Western-made components. This has created a growing crisis, with an increasing number of Russian aircraft aging out of service and nearly half of Russia's Airbus A321neo fleet already grounded. Russia's domestically produced jets, like the Sukhoi Superjet, have not provided a solution either. These aircraft are heavily dependent on imported components, which account for 55 to 60% of their total value, including engines. Reports suggest that fewer than half of the Sukhoi Superjets remain airworthy. Moreover, Russia has been unable to deliver a single passenger jet since sanctions began, despite efforts to produce updated versions of older Soviet-era models like the Tupolev Tu-214. Even this legacy aircraft, equipped with Russian Aviavigatel PS-90 engines, has not made it into service under current conditions. Efforts to replace Western components with domestic alternatives have encountered significant obstacles. The MC-21 jet, which Russia once touted as a competitor to the Boeing 737, has been redesigned to use Russian-made Aviavigatel PD-14 engines instead of Pratt & Whitney engines. However, these modifications have made the aircraft nearly 6 tons heavier, less efficient, and underpowered, further complicating Russia's efforts to revive its aviation industry. The interconnected nature of the global aviation sector underscores the depth of the problem. Aircraft from Embraer and COMAC, often viewed as potential substitutes for Boeing and Airbus, are also deeply reliant on Western technology. Embraer's E-Jet family, for example, is powered by General Electric's EF-30 for engines, while its E2 family relies on Pratt & Whitney PW1700G and PW1900G engines. Similarly, COMAC's C919 uses CFM International LEAP engines, a joint venture between France's Safran and America's General Electric. Other components, such as avionics and flight control systems, are also sourced from Western manufacturers, leaving these jets unavailable to Russia under current sanctions.
Even Brazil and China, despite being members of the BRICS bloc and not participating in Western-led sanctions, cannot sell their jets to Russia. Western export controls effectively give the United States and its allies a veto over any such sales, thanks to the critical components that originate in their countries. The challenges extend even to COMAC itself, as the U.S. added the Chinese aircraft manufacturer to its Department of Defense sanctions list in 2021. This move has raised questions about the future viability of COMAC's programs, which depend heavily on Western-made engines and avionics. While China is working to develop its CJ1000A engine as an alternative to Western technology, the project has faced delays, with the earliest projected entry into service now pushed back to 2030. For now, COMAC's C919 and other jets remain reliant on Western components, leaving them vulnerable to export controls and other sanctions. Russia's aviation sector faces a perfect storm of challenges: sanctions that limit access to global markets, reliance on Western technology, and competition for resources with the military amidst the ongoing war in Ukraine. Despite attempts to substitute foreign components with domestic alternatives, Russia has yet to produce a single passenger jet in almost 3 years. With no viable options for acquiring aircraft from friendly countries like Brazil or China, the sanctions have highlighted the effectiveness of leveraging the aviation industry's global interdependence to isolate Russia.